My face is irrelevant to the content, so we're gonna focus on the graphics because I took 30 minutes to draw these two stick figures. It's hard as fuck to draw these things with this thick ass marker. Anyway, Larsen press. This is my favorite personal bench pressing variation because it works best for someone like me, and we'll talk about that in a second. But just to go over general benefits and why you would look at using something like this. So first of all, increased activation of your prime movers. I don't know what the science behind that is. It has to do with your legs not being engaged with the lift. That just makes your upper body work harder, I'm guessing. All your prime movers from your chest, your triceps, your shoulders, your forearms, those are all gonna work harder on the Larsen press independent of your grip width. Now, certain things will get biased depending upon which grip width that you take. You know, just that's intrinsic to bench pressing. But Larsen pressing at a minimum will very decently increase that. That's really good for strength. That's really good for hypertrophy. So essentially, if you want to isolate your upper body a little bit better, taking your feet off the ground is obviously going to achieve that for you. This is one that is more applicable to people who train their lower bodies heavily. So that's a decreased lower back and leg fatigue. Getting an arch, even if you don't get a big arch, necessitates that you're putting a lot of pressure into your lower back. My lower back, if I ever do like a competition style bench press where I'm really going ham on the leg drive, it's like a pump that starts in my hamstrings that goes into my ass, into my, my lower back. All of that contributes to performance and a lack of energy loss from your foot to your core to the bar, which allows you to push more load versus just having your feet off the ground. That's why there's that 5 to 10% differential. Now, because of that leg drive, which is not only a directional force, but a bracing force as well, your legs and your lower back can get cooked if you're doing a lot of squatting, a lot of deadlifting, or some variation of those two things. So even if you're someone like me that's not necessarily doing a competition style deadlift or a competition style squat, I'm still going ham on the safety bar squats. I'm still going ham on the leg press, going ham on the belt squats, going ham on the back extensions, the RDLs. All of these close variations of squatting and deadlifting. This is really good for me, and I'm gonna transition more into doing a close grip Larsen press for me specifically. We'll talk about applications later for that very reason, just to spare that lower back fatigue. Because when you get stronger, this especially, not this as much because your legs are more resilient to volume, resistant. Your low back fatigue is like a finite resource, and it's something that you want to spare as much as possible. And Larsen press allows you to maximize that. Again, that's more for someone on the stronger side. This is a big one for quality of life, okay? So increased ease of scapular movement. Now, obviously, I'm gonna link my shoulder pain-free bench pressing form video. You can move your scaps on any chest press. It's easier with a Larsen press because you're not pushing into your traps and your upper backs to the same extent that you would be if you had your feet on the ground and you were using leg drive. That doesn't prevent you from being able to do that. It just makes it easier when you're not applying an external force to it. This is good if you're someone that has shoulder pain or pec minor pain or anything like that, or if you're someone that needs to learn the tactile sensation of actually moving your scaps. It doesn't impede scapular movement or any of this bullshit that I've heard. They're common talking points. It's not specific to anybody, it's just a common talking point. And as I said, there's a 5 to 10% load differential. So from like a bodybuilding standpoint, or in a Berserk Method context even, it has a good stimulus to fatigue ratio compared to a bench press because you're getting increased muscle activation, a little bit bigger range of motion, better scapular movement, and you're using less load. You see what I mean? Now, in terms of cons, there's one I didn't write down, but one is obviously there's no leg drive. Leg drive is a skill. If you do this primarily, you are going to lose the ability to use your leg drive competently. Now, this is also a benefit in the context of a power lifter. So This is kind of a fringe benefit of Larsen pressing and having a strong Larsen press. We'll take Raw Nats, for example, Raw Nationals, the powerlifting competition. I think it was the 2021 competition. So the floor was very slippery, and no one could use leg drive. The people who had legitimate bench presses, and I say legitimate in the context of an absence of an arch, an absence of leg drive, they had a no bullshit cock diesel strong upper body. They saw a decrease in performance, but they didn't get exposed. The big arch benchers, the people who rely on these compensatory strategies like arching, leg drive, so on, they bombed out on bench press. They got mobbed. So this is both a benefit and a detriment. The reason why it's a detriment is that if you're someone that is doing this as a self-limiting variation for the purpose of increasing your bench press, you will either have to include some feet on the ground variation, which is what I recommend as well, or you'll have to have, maybe a month and a half of introducing a feet on the ground variation, like whatever your competition style grip width is, for you to reap the benefits of your Larsen pressing. So it's not really a con. I really should say plus/minus. There's just really no other way to put it. So those are all the benefits of Larsen press. Now we're going to go over the benefits of bodybuilder style close grip bench press as well, and then we'll compare the two. So we're going to shift over here to this jack motherfucker. First and foremost, since your grip is in closer, so this is a shoulder width grip, bodybuilder style, not like powerlifter style close grip bench press where anything closer than your wide grip is a close grip bench press. Greatly increased range of motion on all your prime movers, especially your shoulders and your triceps. This also contributes to more tricep activation. Obviously, you can use leg drive on it. The biggest benefit is this. Close grip bench has the most carryover to all other presses. That's overhead press, incline bench, other bench presses, weighted dips, weighted push-ups, so on and so forth. The reason being is that you're using an even blend of all your prime movers, and the range of motion is really big. So overhead presses are typically done with about that close of a grip, if not a little wider. You're not typically going to see a strong overhead presser taking a real wide grip like the Larsen press fellow right here. It's going to be a relatively close grip. Because of that, your shoulder goes through a bigger range of motion than it would on a wider grip bench press. So therefore, it would have more carryover to your overhead press. And that's what you observe in people who have big overhead presses. They do a lot of closer grip bench pressing. Now, in terms of the leg drive aspect, this is a variation that you can use that is going to detrain your ability to wide grip bench to an extent, but it's not going to detrain your ability to use leg drive because you're still using it, or you should be using it. We'll talk about why Larsen press is useless for probably a good chunk of people that are watching this in a second, but it has that 5 to 10% differential versus a wide grip bench as well. So on paper, it sounds like you could use either, right? You could use either a Larsen press or a bodybuilder style close grip bench press on something like the Berserk Method, or in your strength and conditioning program as a variation or accessory to build your bench press. And it doesn't really matter which one you pick, right? Someone would use that as an argument to say that Larsen press is just pointless because it's quote unquote more dangerous because your feet aren't on the ground. We're going to talk about who these apply to specifically now. So Larsen press has its uses and it can also be useless. Okay, so if you're someone that does not know how to use leg drive, you are going, this 5 to 10% differential is going to be a 0% differential because you're not using leg drive to begin with, or you don't know how to. Its uses for someone that is on the weaker side are limited, just because whereas a close grip bench is addressing your tricep weakness, all newer lifters have a tricep weakness. Your whole body is weak, but especially your triceps. Whereas the Larsen press isn't directly addressing any specific weakness, it's just making the prime movers work harder. So for the context of someone who's maybe like a year into lifting, because this doesn't address any specific weakness or any problems that you really should be having, and you more than likely do not know how to use leg drive for real, I would always recommend that someone like that goes with the close grip bench press. Reason being, as I said, it still allows you to develop your leg drive because your legs are still engaged with the movement. As well, it also addresses your tricep weakness. Where the Larsen press starts to come into play is when you're someone that maybe you bench 315 pounds, you're pretty good at leg drive, and at this time, like the amount of stress and stimulus that you get from the bench press, it starts to creep up on you. Like your sets start to beat you up more, set per set, set for rep, and you need a variation that allows you to still use your competition grip width so you can still keep that fresh. You're just using an extra hypertrophy movement to give you some more bang for your buck. In that case, I would still use a feet on the ground bench variation, but then also use a Larsen press for like an 8 to 12 rep range. Maybe 5s. I wouldn't do 3s too much just because you're not really strong enough at that point as a 315 pound bench presser to be able to benefit from that, in my opinion. Where this really shines, in my opinion, is for people who are very strong bench pressers. But very strong bench pressers, I mean 350 at a minimum. Like 350 bench press at a minimum. That's when you start really using the Larsen press as a main pressing movement. That's just where you're going to get the best bang for your buck. And then that's where you can start to transition into things like singles, doubles, triples, things like that. And then foregoing bench press entirely as your primary movement, using this as your primary movement for this reason, the decreased lower back and leg fatigue. If you are running a good strength and conditioning program, if you have a 315 pound bench press, you're going to be a relatively strong squatter or a relatively strong deadlifter, or one of the two. You know what I mean? Like, even if you don't squat or deadlift, you're going to have a relatively developed lower body relative to your upper body. So this is going to be a big benefit for you. In that capacity, you would use this for a few training blocks, just, variations of it too. So you could do a close grip Larsen press. You see what I mean? To get more triceps on one day, and then maybe a wide grip Larsen press on another. And then after that, you would introduce your feet on the ground bench press, and whatever this increases by. So let's just say you start off with like a 315 Larsen press, and then you increase it to 330. Your bench press is gonna increase directly by that amount, if not more. As I said, there's a 5 to 10% differential, so that's gonna be different depending upon how strong you are. So like, I think the heaviest Larsen press I've posted on YouTube was like 370 or 375. I've done 385 as well, but it was super bouncy and I just wasn't gonna post it. So, but the heaviest I've posted on YouTube, I think, was 370 or 375. So 370, usually it's about a 8 to 10% difference for me, depending upon the grip width. So I don't know the math, but that's over 405 pounds. Now, unfortunately, I had that non-training related incident, and I wasn't just gonna post my 405 bench or 410 or whatever it was, or whatever it could have been, just because 425 was my goal. Now, we talked about who the Larsen press would be applicable to and in what scenarios. As I said, it could be useless for some of you, a lot of you actually. Now let's talk close grip bench press. Close grip bench press is a prescription that withstood the test of time for a reason, because it's generally applicable to far more people than the Larsen press is. Larsen press is my favorite bench pressing variation. That's mostly like inherent bias, just because I'm strong as fuck. I'm not like gloating or anything. I'm just saying, like, this is a better option for me at my stage of my training career. 4 years ago, it was the close grip bench press. I even use the close grip bench press now because I'm trying to get my 250 OHP, but this is a much better option for 99% of people. The reason being is because it works on these weak points. It increases your ability to be able to use leg drive because you're using it. And it has the best overall carryover to all your other presses, which in your developmental phase, the first few years of your training, all this is way more valuable to you than this, essentially. You know, like this is the biggest benefit along with, where the fuck is it at? I don't think I wrote it down, but it has a better stimulus to fatigue ratio. That, you know, you're not strong enough to be able to benefit from that. We talked about it in the Good Morning video. Like if you're a newer lifter, the poundages that you're going to be using on deadlift and, you know, stiff leg deadlift and all that are so low that like the stimulus to fatigue is an afterthought. You would only ever really use that, in my opinion, as a stronger lifter that just needs like a third tier level accessory movement to work their posterior chain. That's neither here nor there. This is better for 99% of you. Now let's talk just something that lies outside of whatever accessory movement you're going to pick. You don't even need to be thinking about accessories if you're someone that's rep quality on bench press is terrible. By that I mean, you know, you're doing touch and go reps, you're doing heave ho pauses, which is where you sink the bar into your chest. And it's like, it's not a pause because really you're just using your rib cage as like a trampoline essentially. That can add a lot of load, like artificial strength and load to your press to the point where, you know, you may as well be doing a touch and go bench press. Developing that 50-50 pausing strength or even biasing more of a softer touch with your pause. Really not going slow on the eccentric, but controlling the eccentric, feeling the eccentric, having a nice honest pause, even if it's not a long pause, like a competition standard pause, just not bouncing the bar off your chest is going to improve your bench pressing strength and your upper body musculature so much more than trying to pick between the two of these. So first and foremost, you want to address your rep quality. Here's how you do that. You introduce a regular bench press into your training program, and then you're just cognizant of these things. So you're not doing a slow eccentric, you're just doing a regular tempo. So like that, you see what I mean? You're using a good tempo, you're eating your eccentric, you're using a nice 50-50 pause at a minimum, or maybe even a soft touch pause, and you're really just allowing your body to feel the movement. That's going to increase it far more than just doing this and this. If you pile this on top of shit, it's going to do nothing for you. If you pile this on top of shit, it's going to do nothing for you. There are plenty of strong bench pressers who can corroborate this. They eventually reached a wall with their shitty rep quality that they could only address not with this or with this, but by just improving their form. That's the takeaway here, guys. It's like I said in my Enough Just Do This video. It's not so much you want to think about optimizing everything. You just want to train smart and train honest. The best accessory for bench press that you should be looking at is fucking bench press. Just do it better, do more of it. Once you get to the point where you have a good bench press, you pick one of these, and then that's the accessory. This is accessory. This is not the main movement. Not at first anyway, not when you're in your developmental phase. I don't want to see new lifters pick, you know, this or this and expect to get all these benefits, and then they don't because their form is absolute dog shit. But anyway, that's the lecture. It's getting kind of long in the tooth. This will be fully timestamped. Please let me know if y'all have any questions down below. I enjoy making these lectures, so engage with the video, I engage back. I always make sure to answer everybody's comments just because there's good discussion that forms around these. Anyway, y'all be easy. Peace.